Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to talk about the two major AEW debuts at Revolution.
Wardlow is crowned the face of the Revolution at Revolution 2022.
There was a big-time turn at Revolution.
And AEW debut a new belt at AEW Revolution as well. I'm Adam Wilborn.
We've said Revolution a lot, haven't we?
Yeah, guess what's just happened?
Yeah.
It's 6 a.m. here in the UK, and this is the news.
Timing is everything. We got two major debuts to talk about. It's AEW debuting people. Who ever heard of such a thing? There were a couple of them on Revolution. The first, I think everyone and their mother saw this coming.
Not quite the swerve that they expected, you could say. Oh.
But the E is a number 3.
Oh, yeah. Bollocks.
That's how he spells it sometimes.
Fix this.
There we go. That'll wake you up if you're not already.
Do this!
Shane Strickland, he is all elite. Very brief segment. They kept it neat, they kept it short. Tony Schiavone hit the stage, made the announcement. Swerve came out.
Showed you who the contract was for before they announced it.
He was like, hey guys, we've got a special announcement here. You can just see the word there. So if you're viewing at home, you knew who it was immediately. But it was still nice to see him. Came out in his suit, looking great, cut a quick promo.
Whose
very
house?
Short. Swerve's house. There you go. Call and response. You love to see it. He had obviously been a free agent since November when they let him and the remaining members of Hit Row go after BFAB. Yes,
dumb decision.
Very dumb. After BFAB had been released 2 weeks prior, but now he's in AEW. We've reported on this so many times over the past few weeks. You know my thoughts on him. I think he's awesome.
Yep.
Cool. The one debut here that maybe no one would have seen coming.
No.
I mean, people would have gone Cesaro maybe, or hey, maybe Jeff Hardy's going to break his non-compete clause even before he gets sued. He wouldn't do that, obviously. William Regal is in AEW now. What?
Yep.
Crazy. I didn't see this coming at all. But basically, after Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson decided, nah, we're just going to keep on fighting.
Yeah.
So they started beating the piss out of each other. Bunch of guys came down, nondescript security goobers. But who else do you call when stuff needs to get sorted out, when those pesky kids are out of line and no one else can make it end, make it stop, pull them off each other? You call your dad, and your dad was on the pay-per-view last night, and boy was he pissed.
Shake your brother's hand.
William Regal came out, huge pop for William Regal. It was awesome, and he didn't just get right in people's faces. You know, authority figure William Regal, we're used to him going, behave yourselves, you bloody scouts. War games.
You manja!
We're used to that. We're not used to him going up to two of the baddest wrestlers on the planet and slapping the piss out of them. Went right up to Moxley, he was bloodied up, put his head in his head.
Got a little red nose.
He got a little red nose, he got a little red forehead, blood everywhere, slapped Jon Moxley, slapped Bryan Danielson, said, guys, shake hands, you couple of losers. They shook hands. Story continues. William Regal's all elite. Tony Khan's done the announcement on Twitter. Graphic.
Yeah.
You know how this works. I've rambled a lot. You can ramble now.
Fantastic stuff. Just to echo your thoughts. I mean, the Swerve stuff, like you say, we talked about loads. Brilliant. Don't know why WWE let him go, to be perfectly honest.
Stupid.
Hell of a pickup for AEW. Think he's going to do wonderful things. And like you say, that call and response just proves how over he is with this audience. And yeah, William Regal did not see that one coming.
No.
And now I think he's formed the best tag team ever in those two, because he's made them bloody respect each other and shake each other's hands. Fantastic. Again, a hell of a wrestling mind, a person to sort of lean on. And if you're going to have an authority figure, who better than William Regal, in my opinion?
Exactly.
Very excited to see how this and all the events, of course, of Revolution are followed up on. One of which is the new face of the Revolution. They had the ladder match with the dumb brass ring, which still looks dreadful, but nevertheless...
How do they keep having this match and Sonic the Hedgehog isn't even in it?
Indeed.
That's what I want to know.
Nevertheless, Wardlow is the face of the Revolution. He defeated Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, and you was going to forget one of them.
Christian Cage.
Thank you very much. To claim the brass ring. He powerbombed Ricky Starks onto a ladder. It was like he was on the ladder and then there was a ladder bridge onto the ropes. You know how it looks. And he just smashed him right at the back of his head in a wild match, which also saw Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs get knocked off the staging near the commentary table through a table, and Orange Cassidy get yeeted, I think is the phrase. But Wardlow is the face of the Revolution. He will get a TNT Championship match facing the winner of this week's, yes, it's Monday now, this week's TNT Championship match, pitting Sammy Guevara, why has he got 2 belts? He only needs 1, against Scorpio Sky, who's gone like a year undefeated. It's title versus streak, that's what they're doing. The winner of that will go on to face Wardlow, who, Andy Murray, check this out, had an eventful night.
Yeah, he did. He turned, didn't he? Finally turned on MJF.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm so glad you're doing the story.
MJF versus CM Punk got to the point where
Match of the night?
Match of the night for me, yeah. It was absolutely sensational. But it got to the point where MJF clearly was losing. He'd emptied
Not for
the
me,
tank.
Jeff.
He'd thrown everything at CM Punk, and he was desperate. He was bloody. He was covered in thumbtacks. He was literally in the middle of the ring crying for Wardlow. Wardlow came out in his suit, freshly cleaned up after his big win, looking like a chihuahua with a 10-inch penis. Like, just the most confident guy in the room. And you know what happens when Wardlow comes out? He reaches into his pocket, but the ring's not there. The ring isn't there. He checks all of his pockets. This allows CM Punk the opportunity to strike, put MJF down. Suddenly, Wardlow's found the bloody ring, hasn't he? Oops, he said. Funny stuff. He put it on the mat. CM Punk picked it up, clocked MJF. MJF hoisted by his own petard, to use a very pretentious turn of phrase. The Wardlow turn is complete. He's a face now. It's been coming for a while. It's been built to very well. Felt like a star-making night for the big guy.
Yeah.
You know, he had his big win. He's going to get the TNT title shot. Now he's turned his back on his, I guess, former employer now. It's an interesting situation. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. But to me, the cherry on top of what was an awesome dog collar match.
Yeah, nice for CM Punk to get a like consolation victory. Of course, it's still 2-1 to MJF in that feud, so it doesn't really matter. I don't care. All jokes aside, a sensational dog collar match, as Andy said, and I completely agree. A hell of a night for Wardlow. He's the face of the Revolution. He's finally executed the turn that we've been anticipating for months, if not years, if not the moment they aligned together.
Decades, I would say.
Exactly. So excited to see how just all of the stories are followed up on Dynamite, especially now Sting can take bumps through tables at 62 or whatever it is.
Like he's Jeff Hardy at Royal Rumble 2000.
More on that
Crazy.
in a little bit. We also got the debut of a new title on last night's AEW Revolution 2022. The women's title's changed, and it's, in my opinion, a lot better. It's a lot bigger, that's for damn sure.
It looks good.
Britt Baker walked out with it round her waist, and then she successfully defended it against Thunder Rosa. Spoilers, everyone. Following shenanigans, she pulled off a curb stomp onto the belt, which Thunder Rosa kicked out of. More shenanigans involving Rebel and Jamie Hayter, and then a second curb stomp got Britt Baker the victory. She retains the new title, which hopefully, depending on the editor, it should be on your screen now and looks lush.
Yeah, it does. AEW have put some pictures, high-res images of the title out to save us just grabbing crap-ass screenshots. Yeah, it looks cool. The last time they did this was just before Double or Nothing 2021, when Shida got a nice new belt and then immediately lost it a couple of days later. So when Britt came out with a new belt, I was like, she's losing 100%.
Yep.
And then she just won. It looks like Thunder Rosa's probably going to win it when they go to San Antonio, which is her hometown in like 9 days. 9 days. Perfect. A week on Wednesday. That seems to be the story. Not my favourite story in the world, but that seems to be what we're heading towards. Like both these wrestlers, obviously. And the new belt looks good. Yeah,
really new belt looks great. I would have put the title on, I agree, on the pay.
Me too.
But a hometown victory is going to be fantastic.
I think they want that to be like the 1 year of the Lights Out match as well. I think they want that symmetry, but I think there are neater ways of getting there.
Indeed.
Than what we saw.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, we want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Mimi Burris. As always, thanks for getting involved with us, Mimi. Who says, good morning, guys. Should AEW ever break the formula of the World Championship match, main eventing a pay-per-view, if a better story feels like it warrants it instead, i.e. Punk MJF?
Ooh, it's an interesting question, and it's when I change my mind on quite a lot. I think that Punk MJF would have been a very popular choice to main event this pay-per-view, and if they'd done that, I don't think many people would have complained. But I tend to think sometimes that when you put something on last that isn't your main world title, you're immediately telling people that this belt is inferior by default.
Yeah.
And I don't like the optics of that. I get the argument for Punk MJF headlining this show. It was the best feud coming in. It was the most heated and the most over feud coming into it. But at the same time, unless you have a total bomb of a world title program and like everyone, no one cares, and it's just a total disaster, I think it's kind of hard to justify going, hey, this world title that you're supposed to receive as the most important thing is actually the second most important thing. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think in a time when I don't necessarily think this, but there are some people online who say, oh, it's not been quite the title reign that we expected from Hangman Page. We've always said it's kind of was always about the chase anyway, and
I think
it's
they're
been
wrong.
having some pretty damn good matches in the interim.
Yeah, I think they're wrong now.
Archer, Danielson, and now subsequently Adam Cole really enjoyed that. But I think, especially with that conversation being had, I think you just undercut your champion even more so if you don't put him in the main event. And despite all the madness happening on this show, I thought him and Adam Cole put on a banger in the main event, especially for a show where it was like, well, I'm a bit exhausted. I really got into it. So, yeah, loved all that.
It was a really good show.
Yeah.
Really good show.
Raza119 gives us our second question of the day. Says, hey, legends, with AEW putting on another banger of a pay-per-view, again last night with expectations rising because of their last 4 amazing pay-per-views, how long till an above-average, not spectacular, solid show is seen as a disappointment to fans?
Full Gear 2021 and Double or Nothing 2021. Those fit the bill of a pretty solid show that weren't amazing, for me at least. Yeah, I think we're already there. Like, I think All Out was phenomenal. The debuts, the match quality. You're never going to have the magic of CM Punk's first match back and, you know, the nudge, nudge, wink, wink secret debuts of Danielson and Cole. And I thought last night was great as well. But yeah, I think we've already had them. I think the Full Gear was an inconsistent show with some very great highs, but suffered from familiar pacing issues that these AEW shows often do. And I thought Double or Nothing 2021 was the same. So I think we've already been there, and we've seen how AEW weathers these storms and how they come through. At the moment, for me, they're on pretty good pay-per-view, great pay-per-view, pretty good pay-per-view, great pay-per-view. The challenge now is stringing 2 of them together.
Indeed. Dudley's, whenever we talk about this, whether we talk about Dynamite or Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or anything like that, they always use the phrase grading on a curve, and I think that's what it is. Like AEW, the reason why a few months back, we sat here, me and you berated AEW, me and the Dadleys berated them on the podcast, then we did an entire video podcast going, is AEW kind of buggered right now? And said it was broken. It's not because it suddenly became TNA from back in the day.
Like a couple of bad TV
it's because
shows.
we have such high expectations for certain aspects of it that we expect more, and I think that's a reflection of it. But I completely agree. I think nowadays, if they have a good pay-per-view, people go, it's not All Out though, is it? It's like, well,
you're never gonna have that magic again.
No,
like,
right.
Unless, like, I don't know, The Rock just signs, and that's not happening.
Be very interested to see, like you say, what they do for Double or Nothing now following this, especially because it's quite, there's big gaps, and now it's quite close because it's what, May?
3 months.
Yeah. Kane B25 gives us our third question of the day. Who else should join Mr. Eagle's Cobra Kai? Spoiled for choice, really, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, his son.
I like the way that if rather than signing people, rather than like giving them a contract or shaking their hand, slaps them across the face, that's the sign of like, you're in.
Wouldn't John Moxley be a great Johnny Lawrence as well? Sensational.
I love Cobra Kai, man.
It's a good show, isn't it? It's a really good show. Who's dorky enough to be Daniel-san? I don't know. There's probably someone in AEW, just someone.
That's comments. There you go.
Sort us out. Oh man, look, I'm gonna give the default answer. Bring in the young technicians. Bring them in. Garcia, get away from we love you 2.0, but get away from them. Come over. Moriarty, hello. Wheeler Yuta, yes, you can join too. Bring them in. That's what I want to see.
One more audition.
Who you got?
Cesaro.
That's a good show.
I like the idea of filming them walking in for training on the first day and then just walking out of the shadows.
We forgot one.
Go on.
The most technical wrestler on the planet. Wins the best technical wrestler award every single year. Surgeon on the mat. A real scientific wrestler. A guy who approaches pro wrestling like algebra and leaves everyone else in the dust. If you think you've gone to university, this guy makes you look like play school is defeat.
The flipping fiend.
The flipping fiend.
I thought you were going to say Danhausen then.
Oh,
He certainly cursed Ricky Starks.
He
That
did,
bump
yeah.
he took on that ladder was very cursed.
God. Hope Ricky's okay, man.
Yeah, hope he's okay.
And Orange Cassidy, he took a nasty
And
one
Isaiah
as well.
Cassidy.
Hope everyone's okay.
Yes,
It was a tough pay-per-view.
Speaking of which, on today's And Finally, just thought I'd give a nice note to Sting, 62-year-old man who took a bump through tables on last night's pay-per-view. There was just a quote I saw here shared by Busted Open. I'm having so much fun and feel like I'm in good hands. It's great being with Darby. Just nice to see a dad and his son having a great time.
That spot was ridiculous. It was awesome.
Let's not forget the
so
build
much.
where, as far as I'm aware, Darby Allin crashed a car into a caravan and then Sting showed up with a bloody flamethrower.
What do these guys get up to in their spare time? Weird dudes.
Father and son weird combo
Is
thing.
Andrade still trying to buy Darby? I don't know.
Jose subsequently
small
tweeted,
child.
give me Darby Allin after the pay-per-view. That's probably because he's been horrifically hit in the head of that spot with the bin.
Remember that time he took his top off, Jose, and he was ripped.
Did you not hear me on the stream? I was yelling, take his top off, Sting! Sting, take his top off!
Perfect.
But yes, love to see Sting just having a great time, basically.
Yeah, what a hoot, man. He turned into New Jack with that spot. Crazy.
Madness.
I love Sting so much. He's great.
Absolutely. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and Michael Hamflet are going to go and probably talk gibberish, considering what time it is. All about the pay-per-view right now. We'll also be back later on today to preview Men in Our Hour. And, as well as that, we're going to have Simon Miller right on this channel, up in and down in, mainly up in, let's be honest, AEW Revolution a little bit later on today, unless it's already gone out, in which case you can go and watch it right now, I suppose.
It might have. He's a machine.
Exactly. You can follow us all at WhatCulture WWE on Twitter. You can follow Andy Murray on there at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for...
That's how I feel as well, mate. You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us. We're off to bed, and we'll see you soon.